is chicken pot pie. I used to buy them in the store all the time until I learned just how easy it is to make at home yourself. So tonight, that's what we're gonna do. I have here a pan, and it's just got a little bit of canola oil in it, and I'm going to heat up, push the start button here, and cook just some chicken breasts. Nothing too fancy. So I have a couple of them here I'm gonna put in the pan. Now these are actually chicken breasts that have been cut really thin, so this probably is about the equivalent of maybe 1.5 chicken breasts. Because these are thin, they're going to cook pretty quickly. I'm going to sprinkle them with a little bit of kosher salt for seasoning and a little bit of pepper. Done, we're going to take them out of the pan. You don't have to use thin sliced chicken breast. It just happens to be what I had on hand. So what I have here is a 1/3 cup of butter, which is melting in a medium saucepan. And basically what we're going to be doing is making a roux. And a roux is pretty much the foundation of all of your sauces, your cream sauces and such. So I'm adding to that a 1/3 of a cup of onion, which is pretty finely diced. You can leave yours a little chunkier if you like that in your chicken pot pie. Just gonna let that melt. You don't want to do it too high, you don't want to burn your butter. And after we get that well blended and get all the butter melted, we're gonna go ahead and very carefully stir in our flour, our salt, and our pepper. Here we go with the flour. This is the only slightly tricky part. You don't want to have a lumpy roux. So you're going to go ahead and add a little bit of your flour and begin stirring. Actually, I'm going to use my other hand, sorry. And begin whisking that in as you're adding a little at a time. Whisking constantly, and it's going to get a little on the lumpy side here. But you're just going to keep whisking it to make a nice smooth paste. And you're going to want to cook that for just a few, maybe, I don't know, maybe a minute, not very long. But you want to cook out the flour taste. Otherwise, you kind of get that sort of flavor in your finished product, and you don't want that. Stirring constantly. You can kind of see how it looks there. And to that, I am going to add my chicken broth. I have 1 3/4 cup here chicken broth, which I'm going to slowly add, working out any possible lumps until I get a nice smooth consistency. Get it all in there. Now you can use canned chicken broth or chicken broth you've made, sorry about that, chicken broth you've made from scratch. I'm a big fan of Better Than Bouillon. And if you don't know what that is, it's just a product like this. It comes in a jar, it's sort of a paste, and you mix it with water, and when you do that, you can make your own broth. It's really good. You can get it in a lower sodium version as well. You see how this is making a nice, smooth consistency there? And now we're going to get ready to add the water. Excuse me, we already added the broth. We're going to get ready to add the milk. Look how great this is looking already. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of milk. Oh, I keep bumping the camera. I'm so sorry. Still have a cast or a boot on my foot, so I'm a little awkward getting around this tripod. I apologize. So I'm going to stir that nice and smooth. Nice, and we're going to get ready to add the next ingredients. Okay, now I didn't add the salt and pepper earlier as I should have, so I'm going to go ahead and add it now. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and let me find my pepper. We're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I usually add this with the roux when I'm making that, but I got to talking. We're gonna stir that in. I've taken away my whisk now because I'm getting ready to add the larger ingredients using my favorite silicone fork here. And this will bubble and thicken. It's somewhere between medium and medium-low right now. And to this, I'm going to add my chicken. Now, the great thing about chicken pot pie is you don't have to buy chicken breast and cook it strictly for this recipe. You can use leftover chicken. If you've made a roast chicken, or you have chicken thighs, or you've bought a rotisserie chicken from the store and you have leftovers, it's a fabulous way to use up those leftovers. So I've cut up the chicken into the size pieces I'm going to have. They're a little bit large, but my friend likes them chunky. Let me see how that's going to look here. Starting to get bubbly. And then you want to get some frozen vegetables. We're using peas and carrots. The friend who I'm inviting for dinner doesn't care for green beans and lima beans and the like. So I just got peas and carrots to make it a little bit more friendly for her as company. And you're going to stir that in. They say about 2 cups of mixed vegetables is probably good for this. I think I can get away with adding the last of the chicken. And let me just give this a really good stir around here. Oh, it's looking really good. I wish you could smell this. It smells fantastic. And it came together really quickly. It doesn't take much time at all. So there you go. You could add more vegetables, less vegetables, however you like it. All right, we're going to leave this on low, and we're going to get our pie crust together. I've made this chicken pot pie in 2 different ways. I've made my own pie crust from scratch, and I've also used these refrigerated, ready-to-go pie crusts you can buy in the store. They both come out really well, so I sort of depend now on what sort of time I have to work with. Today I'm going to use the instant ones you buy at the store. They're easy and they're delicious. I've taken them out of the refrigerator for a little while just so that they can sort of warm up a little bit. Makes them a little easier to unroll. There's one. Here's 2. How easy is that? Now here comes the fun step, assembly. I usually do this in an old Pyrex pie plate that I have that I love, but I've always wanted to try to make a chicken pot pie in a cast iron skillet. So I have here a Lodge chef skillet, and that's what we're going to use today. I'm going to put a little bit of butter in there. Oops. That goes in there well. I've preheated my cast iron skillet. Whoops. Got that in there. Using my cast iron pot holder, which is a mess, but that's because I only use it for working with my cast iron. Going to put my pie crust in there. And then get my filling in. Get my top layer on. Move this where you can see it better. Now normally when I do this in a 9-inch pie pan, I can crimp and fold these over, but it doesn't look like it's going to work in this guy. So I'm not going to be able to seal the seams like I want. We'll just have to hope it doesn't bubble over. And last but not least, you want to cut some escape holes for the steam. Otherwise, you'll be sorry. And we're going to bake this for about 30 minutes or so at 425 degrees in the oven. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to put that on a cookie sheet, because if it bubbles over, I don't want to mess in my little oven. So, 2 hands to move this in. It's quite heavy now. There it is. Close her up. Set our timer for 30 minutes and we'll check it, and if it needs more, we'll do it more. See you in a bit. Here it is, fresh out of the oven. I'm really glad I put that cookie sheet underneath it, because I can see it's come out of the shell a little bit since I wasn't able to pinch it shut. Looks absolutely delicious. The last 10 minutes I did cover the edges of this with foil, so that way the rim of it did not overcook while the rest of it was still cooking. So we're going to obviously have to let this cool down a few minutes before we get into it. We'll get back and we'll have a taste. I can't wait. All right, folks, here we go. Let's see what we can make of this. It's cooled down a little bit, so hopefully the gravy inside has set a little. Using my handy dandy spurtle. Oh, that's good. It's all spilling out. Looks yummy. Let's see if I can bring this up to you. You can sort of see all the goodness in there. And let's give it a little taste test. All right. Oh my goodness. Let's get a little bit of this crispy crust. I love how this crust came out. It's just fantastic. Oh, still a little hot. That is so good. That beats a store-bought pot pie any day of the week. So you can clearly see it's really simple, surprisingly so, as a matter of fact. And I hope that you guys think about giving this a try and making your own cast iron or pie crust or pie pan pot pie.